wish we had more class consciousness in the United States so that Trump voters could recognize they have more in common with Harris voters than they could ever imagine. Because I've heard from so many Trump voters that have lost their job, people who were getting out of the military, who loved Trump, who voted for him, and then had a job lined up when they got out of the military doing contracting or some sort of government work, who lost that job after they voted for that exact policy. I also know so many Harris voters, people who work in the arts, people who are teachers, people who also are coming from the military, who didn't vote for Trump, and they have lost their job because of the Trump administration cuts. People who work in the theaters. The National Endowment of the Arts provides regional theaters, community theaters, theaters all over the country with grants to allow them to create productions, to create certain events that create local economy or that boost up local economy. This is why the National Endowment of the Arts exists. This is why government grants exist. People are losing their jobs. People are losing their grants. Voters who, on both sides, Trump and Harris, we need to realize that if you make less than $200,000, you have more in common with other people than you will ever imagine. Trump did not care about the middle class at all, and he has continued to show that. But if we have class consciousness, we can all elevate ourselves. The reality is there are enough resources for us to share. Capitalism is a win-lose game, but we do not need a win-lose economy. We have enough resources to share with enough. There's enough food. There's enough housing. There is enough water. All we need to do is learn how to allocate these resources. And if we build class consciousness, we will be able to do that.
You do realize that most of you aren't in the right tax bracket to be celebrating, right?
Hello, my fellow Americans. I'd just like to understand if everybody here understands what filial laws are. Because frankly, if they do pass this budget bill that they're talking about passing and Medicaid gets basically defunded to the tune of like $1 trillion, well, hospitals that rely on that funding and nursing homes that rely on that funding, well, they're basically going to have to go back to privatized care. And if they go back to privatized care, well, I'm going to be honest with you, a couple shareholders are going to get rich. Our claims are going to get automatically set to denials. And, we're going to be on the hook financially because filial laws are applying in like 30 states. So you should really understand what that's going to mean for you, because basically it's saying that they can hold you civilly or criminally liable for not paying for your elderly parents and or in some cases grandparents medical care. Okay, in my situation, you may only have one living parent left, and he might have been an abusive piece because he was an alcoholic and an addict. And honestly, you might not want to do that. You might rather want to go to jail than do that. So frankly, I think everybody should understand what it is that these people are voting for. And I know a lot of people were concerned about overtimes and taxes and taxes on tips and things. That's just the tip of the damn iceberg when it comes to this bill. Okay. And a lot of people that are voting for it haven't even read the whole thing. They've basically said that. Okay. Which I don't understand how that's even possible, because I know in my past position, if I didn't read a contract, but I bound the company to it, I'd be held liable for that. Okay. So I would just like to understand what it is we're all doing. And I would also like to understand why it is that MAGA Republicans seem to think that it's okay for their leaders to lie to them, because they said they weren't going to cut Medicaid funding. And they also said that they weren't going to, enact Project 2025. But here we are.
But when I told y'all Candace Owens was getting paid to run one of the largest smear campaigns against Kamala Harris, I was crazy, right? But now she's trying to backtrack and blame it on Christianity as to why she no longer supports Trump. It's not Christianity that's got her concerned. It's the fact that they're not paying her anymore, and she thought that her husband in proximity to whiteness and slandering Kamala Harris was going to get her on the up and up with Trump. Promised her a seat just like they promised everyone else a seat, but guess who didn't get one? Because they're still a black woman. I don't know why you thought you were the exception. You were not the exception. You were the rule. Forget, you were posting 12 videos a day during the election talking about Kamala Harris and why no one should vote for her. Let's play the video.
But I want to say this, quite seriously. 4 years ago, in 2020, I had no kids. It's an incredible thing to think about. I had 0 children, and now I have 3 children. And I'm so serious when I say that I was so concerned about Kamala winning that my husband and I were having serious discussions about what will happen, what can we do, what is our option. And I know that we're not the only family that truly thought about where will we go if
you want to get on here and cry baby tears and say no one told you that Trump was going to be like this. He was never like this. Everybody told you. And you were going to college campuses with fucking Charlie Kirk debating feminists and black women, calling them wrong and saying they had equal privilege as a white man. They paid you for a job. You did that job. But see, just like everybody else that the Trump administration took that job from that they were offered during the election, you're not going to get that seat that you wanted. You're not getting the seat in the administration that you thought you were going to get. No black person ever was, especially not a black woman. And now you're trying to go back to your other blogging page to try to rekindle some of that money you were making during the election. Not happening, Candace. We know who you are.
Trump gonna make America safe again. He opened that attention center. Gonna put all the people in there, attention center. I can't pay my rent this month, but those beds in that attention center look pretty good to me. I go down there, stay in the attention center. Yup.
Is anyone surprised to learn that these are the parents of Wes Rowley, the scumbag shooter who ambushed and shot firefighters and first responders in Idaho? He wasn't a drag queen. He wasn't an immigrant.
So I don't say this often, but MAGA is right every now and then, right? A broken clock is right twice a day. I currently live in Los Angeles, and let's just call it what it is. It's a hellscape, right? MAGA has that right. The crime is just outrageous, specifically homicides just through the roof. I feel like it's like we can't go to the grocery store without the risk of seeing an unalived body on the side of the road. And it's a shame because when I first moved here, oh, what's this? LA on pace to see lowest homicide total in nearly 60 years as killings plummet? Huh. Guess MAGA's wrong about that too. We're doing fine in Los Angeles. It's a big city, right? Big cities have their problems, but we seem to be handling them quite well. And love living here, raising a family here. It's great. California as a whole is doing great. I just wanted to make this video to highlight that article to give my followers or anybody who stumbles across this video some ammunition in case you ever find yourself in the presence of, let's call them regurgitators of propaganda. Maybe in your friend's circle, maybe in your family. You know who I'm talking about, that uncle that only watches Newsmax or Fox News these days and thinks that Los Angeles is in a constant state of burning to the ground because of looters or rioters when they're actually protesters. Send them this video. Share this video out. Let people see the truth. Go find the article. Send that to them. Help them break out of that echo chamber. It's good for them. You'll be doing them a favor.
So I've been going down the rabbit hole of maggots that voted for Trump and now they regret it. And so many of them claim that they didn't know what his policies were. They didn't know it was going to be this bad. They didn't even know that he was a bad businessman. Like, this information has been out there forever. You couldn't watch him speak without knowing what his policies were. And you couldn't pick up anything in the news about him without knowing that he had bankrupted casinos multiple times. And plot twist, it's very hard to bankrupt a casino. And it brought me back to a conversation I had just 2 days ago with a white woman who's in her 50s, who is a lifelong Republican and voted for Trump, and has a daughter who is a college athlete. And she's very wrapped up in her fear that her daughter might have to compete against a trans woman. I asked her if she knew how many NCAA athletes there are. She did not. So I told her, over 530,000. Then I asked her if she knew how many trans NCAA athletes there are. She did not. So I told her, less than 10. Then she wanted my sources, so I looked them up for her. This woman knows that I have a trans daughter, the same age as her daughter. So she followed this up with saying how she wants everybody to be treated equally and that she just wants everyone to be able to live their lives freely and as they want. Then I asked her if she knew about Trump's executive order. You know, this one? The defending women from gender ideology extremism and restoring biological truth to the federal government, blah, blah, blah. That executive order makes it illegal to identify as trans. That's the executive order that makes it such that trans people can't have federally issued identification that indicates their gender of choice. She didn't know about that, and she wanted to know my source. So I showed it to her, whitehouse.gov. How do you vote without knowing what you're voting for. Do I believe this woman is a racist? Maybe, but she is unaware of it. Do I believe she was raised in a completely Republican stewing pot? Yes. Do I think that that is any excuse? No way.
So I know this probably isn't going to go anywhere, but I have something I would like to talk about, honestly. I go to the VA for mental health and various other reasons. Today I had an appointment and I checked in, and as I was checking in, they told me that my appointment has been canceled because my therapist has been let go. They specifically said because of these budget cuts of Doge. And here's the thing. It took me a while to get integrated back into society, normal society. I've been shot at, I've been mortared constantly, blown up by IEDs, and patrolled streets daily while I was deployed. This is hard to admit, but a while ago, the VA and my friends pulled me back from a very poor decision. And now, without that, I have no safety net. And it's not just me either. You did this to millions of us who desperately need it. We desperately need these services. Some of the we have seen has been pretty fucking horrific. So my question basically is, why do you hate the people who serve so much? Was taking away veteran services worth your racism? Was it worth it having a Christian nation? Was it worth it owning the libs? Now there are going to be millions of us stranded with no lifeline, no hope, and all we see is just an ungrateful nation. So there's no more lifeline for me.
I hate to say it, America, but you are cooked. Can you hear that sound, that ticking? That's my oven timer, and America is indeed being basted, stuffed, primed, prepped, and shoved in the oven. You're just waiting to be cooked.
You're about to be stuck in here with us. Clock is ticking. Could be a soft tick, could be a loud one, hard to say.
You see, the big beautiful bill, so-called, is simply the completion of what I talked about a few months ago, the completion of Project 2025. The people who have taken over control of the US government, and I don't even mean Trump. Trump is just a puppet at this stage. He's a political cosplay figure there to attract and distract in equal measure, but he is simply a clown. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the US has been properly basted and stuffed like a turkey, and you're now in the oven. People like to use the analogy of turkeys voting for Christmas, but in this case, unfortunately, I know it doesn't include all of you, but you're all now in the oven. And the only thing left now is the clock for when you're done. So, of course, the thing I've heard online is that the ultimate goal of this administration, whoever they are behind the scenes, behind dangling Trump like a puppet, their goal is to reduce the American population by 10 to 15% by the end of the presidency. We're looking at 30 to 40 million people. And when everyone goes, whoa, that's too extreme, but let's think about it. Let's say they reach their goal of kicking out everybody who's undocumented. How many million is that? The big beautiful bill has just transferred $1 trillion of money that went to healthcare, Medicaid, Medicare, and sent it up to the people who already have more than enough. How many people is that going to kill every year? It's all by design. And what happens when the next hurricane comes and you don't hear about it? In normal situations, people would evacuate, they'd leave, they'd get in their car, drive away. But what happens if, because there's now no weather service to tell you, to warn you, and certainly no FEMA funding, what happens? A decrease in the US population is the goal. So without social welfare, without health care, without even government protection from extreme weather, add to that mass deportations, mass rounding up of people into alligator Alcatrazes and all the other ones. Trump himself said it. Get out while you can.
Vamoose, leave while you still can. Alligator Alcatraz is just the beginning. We'll live stream escape attempts.
Now don't shoot the messenger. All I'm doing is telling you what I see. Thanks for watching.
The only thing that I hear from Trump supporters, they're like, I regret it. I thought everybody else was going to be, but now I am too.
How is it that Candace Owens, when they go from being this alt-right person to all of a sudden wanted to change her brand? Don't change your brand, Candace Owens. Stay who you are. Because we're going to always remember who you are and what you've said. You've sided with hatred. You've sided with racism. You've sided with misogyny. You've sided with all these terrible things. Now, all of a sudden, you want to change your brand. You want to jump ship. Don't jump ship. Stay where you are. Because there's an old saying. Birds of a feather, they flock together. And you stay right over there with that flock of birds that you have fellowship with.
The jokes really do write themselves, because 3 days ago, did I not just say this in my video? Many Americans who voted for the talking orange believe that rules for thee and not for me is how things are going to play out. And it's just not. There are many Americans who are waking up to find out that their lives are going to be impacted by this. Many of them are effing around and finding out the hard way. And now look at the Republicans effing around and finding out.
I'm Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump. Yes, Mr. Trump. We love you. We love you. On the way to the White House.
Beyond betrayal. They used us. They actually, during the campaign, and I don't want to make this political, but during the campaign, the elected officials from the Republican Party, they actually told us that he was not going to touch the documented people.
So I admit, I regret my vote for Donald Trump. I regret it because I needed these changes sooner. I needed the prices to go down sooner so that I didn't drain out my bank accounts and go into crippling credit card debt.
All right, you listen up and listen good. I voted for you because of your no tax on overtime bill, amongst other things. But here's the deal. I just read your great, big, beautiful bill, and it's...
As easy as it would be for me to say that I wasn't thinking when I voted or that I don't watch the news, I had to ask myself the same question that hundreds of you are asking me, is why did I vote the way I did? I've spent the last few days reflecting, and I feel like I came through some sort of revelation.
You know why we voted for Donald Trump? Because the middle class man finally thought he was going to get ahead in life. You said no taxes on overtime. Big, bold, beautiful letters. We thought, hell yeah, why would we not vote for that? Then you turn around and pass the bill, and it's a crock of shit. It's a tax credit for the people that make a certain amount of money. Of course, when you put it in big, bold, beautiful letters, it looks great. We're going to vote for you. And you knew what you were doing. You were baiting people in, saying no taxes on overtime. You didn't give no details. Your details that we read.
All I can say, I was a dumbass, voted for Trump only because of my beliefs. People around me encouraged it. I can think for myself, yes. But I felt at the time that was the better choice. Now I'm looking at it with everything going on. It was the worst decision I ever made. I wanted not to vote.
I was a MAGA junkie.
A MAGA junkie who thought her government job would be safe with Donald Trump in office. She was wrong.
I cried. It's scary, you know, it's a really scary thing. And I was embarrassed. He's a good boy.
Piggott was abruptly fired last month from the Treasury Department's Bureau of Fiscal Service, based here in Parkersburg, West Virginia. The reason given for the firings of 125 probationary employees at the Bureau? Poor performance.
If you could say anything to President Trump now, what would you say? I expected better from you. I really did. I expected that you would do what was right and cut waste and fraud and all of those things that you promised us before we elected you in office, but you're not doing that. You're creating a disaster, and I don't know what America's going to look like if this continues.
I know you told me you voted for President Trump. What were you hoping that he would do?
I was hoping he would did something that made sense regarding the economy, made some kind of progress in bettering, the benefits of being a veteran. But I mean, it just seemed like he actually cared about doing what was best for the country. But now it just feels like all about me, Donald Trump, not, the guy out there working in the trenches trying to make ends meet, trying to pay a mortgage, trying to pay the bills. It goes against everything I expected when, I voted for him.
I just need someone to explain something to me. I live in Alabama, and my utility bill usually averages between $200 and $250 a month. Can someone please explain to me how my utility bill went from $250 a month to $696 this month? Could someone just please explain that to me? I know it was cold last month, but $696? Explain.
Cumplió con todos los requisitos, actividad de tratos, se terminó el caso, cesaron los enemigos, lo detuvieron en el aeropuerto de Ley, lo mandaron a un campo en North Carolina por 3 días y luego lo movieron aquí a donde estamos ahora.
Le dijo que iba a ir por todos los delincuentes que entraron ilegal.
Y ahí lo dijo muy claro.
Lo dijo bien claro.
Pero pasamos de tener una puerta abierta completamente a cerrarla con 10 cerrojos.
Es un engaño masivo lo que hizo. Es un mentiroso. Está mucha gente enojada. No solo inmigrantes. Gente que vive aquí, que tiene generaciones y generaciones. Estar en este país.
You all asked, and here it goes. Here's my Trump hat. It's right here. It hasn't gone anywhere, and it doesn't change anything. Regardless, I am still going to enjoy my summer.
I'm just trying to trust the universe. Trust God. Trust myself.
I will vote for Donald Trump. Well, I'm trying not to laugh. This is her now.
It's been happening frequently at the 333 Miami Avenue Federal Court building. Janet Correa's husband was detained this week. According to her immigration lawyer, he has already been placed on expedite removal.
I wasn't just a Trump supporter. I was a true believer. I was one of his closest advisors. I spent Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's all at Mar-a-Lago. I saw him when the cameras were off. Behind closed doors, Trump mocks his supporters. He calls them basement dwellers. On a hospital visit one time when people were dying in the ICU, he was mad that the cameras were not watching him.
How come everybody I know of that went to college is a Biden supporter? Yeah. And I don't understand how everybody is a Biden supporter if you just went to college. So what are they teaching in this college? Are they teaching anything?
Stuff like inclusivity and respecting other people, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, woke.
Yeah, wokeness, yeah.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.